Hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Leary. I'm the Member Services Manager here at United Way of Pennsylvania. And as part of our UWP learning series, we wanted to talk a little bit about revenue diversification. So if you missed the live in-person learning series on revenue diversification, we do have this recording available to help walk you through some of the content and the resources that we shared. Or if you were part of the training and just need a little refresher, this is a perfect opportunity to help walk you through. So specifically, we're going to look at our finances and how to make informed decisions. For many of our United Ways, resource development teams are small but mighty. And with so much to manage, it's really easy to focus on the year-to-year fundraising targets without taking that step back to examine how your revenue is structured or what that structure means for long-term stability and growth. So that's where tracking and analyzing revenue diversification and data over time really not becomes just helpful, but essential. So to help you understand your revenue, United Way of Pennsylvania has created the Revenue Diversification and Growth Analysis Workbook, which is really a workbook that helps you look back and ahead for a 10-year span. And we're going to be working through that workbook today and showing you a little bit how to use them. The most successful fundraising strategies are not always the flashiest, but they are the most informed. So by consistently tracking and analyzing your revenue sources, your United Way can better plan for the future and adapt for change and grow in the ways that matter most to your mission. Now, some of you may already be tracking this information with your donation tracking platforms, which that is great. This resource is available as another way for you to track, or if you don't have that information on hand available to you, this can be a great fill-in report. So what I'll do now, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with all of you. And we can take a look through how to use this workbook. Okay, so what you'll see as we get started here is the instructions page. As you'll see, the instructions tell you just a little bit about how to use the workbook and then about the dashboard below. We'll come back to what that looks like. We're going to skip over the dashboard for now and head straight to Workplace Campaign. And so as you see, I have some data in here already. This is just a demo to show you how the dashboard and tracking might work once you have some information in there. But the first I want to show you on each page, if you scroll to the right, there is a table with instructions and information about what you are looking at on the specific tab. So if you're ever not sure, you can always slide over to that instructions tab and take a look at what each category is, what it means, what's included. The way each tab will be set up is you have your specific funding of revenue on a page. This one is Workplace Campaigns. We'll have different sections on each of the tabs, and then you can see a span that for this, we're looking back 5 years and then ability to continue to use this for 5 years into the future. So 2020 to 2030. And each funding spot gives you a place that you can input your revenue, your annual revenue for that particular category by year. You'll notice that there is light blue cells as well as white cells. If it is light blue, it is likely locked and you won't be able to edit or change that. Those are different formulas or things that are locked in. And any white cells indicates where you'll be putting data. So as we look at our Workplace Campaign, the top is a breakdown of how our funding streams through Workplace Campaign comes in. So corporate dollars would be any sort of company matches, sponsorship, bigger company gifts. Employee dollars will be your leadership gifts, your employee gifts via payroll deduction, direct giving, online platforms. Special events are specifically related to campaign, workplace campaign related events, not just your general fundraisers. And then other campaign dollars is your catch-all. If you don't break down your campaign totals like this, that's totally okay. I would recommend just putting it in employee dollars if it all just comes in as one lump sum and you don't have this sort of breakdown. But then you can see at the bottom across here, your total campaign revenue should total for each year. The second section looks at workplace allocations, and there's two places that you want to look in this section. So the first would be you're going to enter your total agency designations in this line. So however many dollars, if you give donations out to nonprofits, if an employee is able to select a different nonprofit than United Way to funnel their designation to, you would put the total amount that is intended to be designated out in this line. For those of you who collect an admin fee or designation fee for this total, you can find that in this section right here under designation fee. This is set up as a percentage as it stands. So in this instance, I take a 5% percentage of any designation that goes out. But whatever it might be, you can put that there. If maybe your organization does something different and you have questions on how you can maybe make this work more for your United Way, please reach out to United Way of Pennsylvania, myself specifically, and I am happy to work with you to make sure that this works for you. So you'll put your designation fee here, and you can see that's going to tabulate in this line. You'll get the discretionary dollars that is not being allocated to a designation, and then you can see how much income is coming in to your United Way through workplace campaigns. So if we look at why is this important, right? We can kind of evaluate where we're standing. If we're seeing, like in this instance, 50-50, close to 50-50 is going out to other agencies and about 50% is coming into my United Way, perhaps there's opportunity for us to target those who are doing agency designations to educate them to get into our United Way. So for instance, if they are giving, if there's a large group that is giving towards food insecurities and my United Way has a food insecurity program, perhaps I can do a targeted outreach to them to share about my United Way's food insecurity programs in the hopes that they will give more or at least a portion of their designation to my United Way next time. So you can look and see what some of those trends are. If we're seeing that most of our funds are going out to a different agency designation, that's also an opportunity for us to look at how can we do some education to those members so we can bring in more through our workplace campaign and that stays with our United Way. The next is quite simply the number of companies that we have participating in workplace campaign and number of donors. Again, it's good to look, here we were kind of looking at some trends here. It's good to look at what opportunities are there, really with any of these. But in this instance, we see that 2023 was a really great year for us, that we had an increase in companies, we had an increase in donors, but we didn't keep them. So if we look at this, what did we do in 2023 to bring in those donors? And what did we miss in 2024 to keep them? So this is just a point of we can kind of go back in time and see what other opportunities are there. As we look down below, workplace affinity group giving, this takes a look at specifically through our workplace campaigns, how many are a part of a affinity group or giving society if you have them. So we have three of, I'm going to call them the typical or the standard ones. But if you have other giving societies, so I created the Capital Club as a giving society here, but you can also put another giving society name down below as an example to track more, to track some of your other giving societies. So you can see we're tracking both the donors and the gifts through workplace campaigns. Moving to the next tab, we have individual and affinity group revenue. And again, you'll find your instructions over on the right-hand side. For this tab, we are going to start with looking at individual donors. And so these are donations that come in, whether it's gifts made online, through direct mail, through cash or check, in person, whatever it might be, that are separate from workplace campaigns and or fundraising events where individual donor data is not collected. So when we're counting our individual donors here, we should have some way or know a way to contact them. So if we don't, we're not going to necessarily count them in this section. But you can see, again, we'll do number of donors and dollars raised. So individuals is first. And then from there, we're going to look again at our affinity groups, our giving societies. You'll see the common three. You can see in my example, I have my Capital Club that transferred over from the Workplace Campaign tab. And then again, if you have another giving society, affinity group, you can put that in the Workplace Campaign and that information will transfer over here. When you look at this, specifically with your giving societies, you might have a donor that belongs in more than one. Say we have an emerging leader society member who is also part of the Women's Giving Society. You, in this instance, are going to count them in each applicable group. So if you're going to track them as a donor here with their funding, as well as a donor here with their funding. We want to track them in both, because the way that this tab is set up, it's designed to examine each society independently from one another. So it's not necessarily calculating your total income at the end in this instance here, but it is tracking your total health of a giving society. So you'll go through each year that you have them, putting it in. And again, this gives you an opportunity to look at trends. The second section of data gives you a breakdown then of how much of your giving society comes from individual giving versus workplace campaign giving, and it pulls that information from the last tab. So you can see where you have the powerhouse. If you have it primarily an individual giving, which I don't necessarily have an example here of that, but if you have more in individual giving, maybe there's an education opportunity for our workplace campaigns to talk about. Hey, maybe you're already reaching these levels, but you're not part of this giving society. Are you interested in learning more about it? Because we know those who participate in giving societies and affinity groups might have a stronger relationship to our United Way. I'll also note, this has a breakdown. You'll see it says giving society individual, giving society workplace. You might just need to type in the name of your giving societies here so it matches up. The other thing that you can do as you look at this data, you can see where are there opportunities in what I'm seeing. So if I look at this, I have a really strong emerging leader society, right? I have strong numbers across, it's continually growing year after year. But I don't have as strong in my Capital Club or my Women's Giving Society. Maybe there's an opportunity that I am educating my emerging leaders and proposing to them a step-up plan to move into the next giving society level. They've already showed they are committed year after year. This is an opportunity for me to engage them to move up into a higher level. So this is something that I might look at to see, oh, there's a good growth pattern opportunity there. As we move ahead to our fundraising events, this is an opportunity for us to put in any revenue generated through our really bigger planned activities that are generating our donations. So these are your galas, your golf outings, your music events, purse bingos, whatever it might be. These are not your smaller fundraisers, but your bigger gatherings that, take on maybe a little bit of a bigger risk. There are 5 different sections for 5 different events that you can enter in the information. If you have more than 5, I would recommend just picking your top 5 to enter, and then you can put the rest of the revenue on the other fundraising tab, the other revenue source down here. Or if you have an event that say happens multiple times, let's say my celebrity bartending night happens multiple times a year, you can just combine that revenue into one event. So with each, there is a space at the top left that you're able to list your income, or you're able to list the name of the event. And then you can filter in your income in the various categories. So you'll see sponsorship and donations and individual giving are pretty staples, I would say, for most events. And then there's an opportunity to change out these filters. So I'll give you the example down here under annual dinner. To add in a different fundraising category, you're going to select the cell. You'll see the little drop-down tab come up, and then you're going to select the category that is the best fit for what you're looking for. So for instance, with my golf outing ticket sales, I'm going to count that as my foursome sales. My auctions and raffles are my 50-50s, any auctions that I'm doing, paddle raises, something like that. There is an option for other. And so that's, again, your kind of catch-all. And on the right-hand side, if you do select other, so you can keep track of what that means, there is a section for you to list what each other category is. So in this instance, I have golf outing, other is mulligans and special swing, just so I kind of know what that revenue is. You'll also see a place for events. Because ROI with events is so important. Understanding what your net revenue is so important, because we can have an event that brings in $100,000, but if those expenses are $98,000 and we're only bringing in $2,000 to the organization, and it's a lot of staff time and a lot of resources, maybe that's not the strongest event. Whereas our celebrity bartending night, we're bringing in decent revenue, but our expenses and our staff time are really low. So it's a really good revenue stream that we can bring in. So once you have all of your events in, up at the top, you will see they all tabulate up here. So you can see how they have trended in their net revenue year after year. You can see the growth patterns. You can see how much in total they brought in. And again, this gives us an opportunity to look at, okay, this information is great. What is it telling us? So in this instance, wow, my golf outing has really grown year after year, and I'm seeing strong ticket sales, which means I have more people attending the event. Well, maybe that means I can make stronger sponsorship asks, or I can build a stronger, higher valued sponsorship option because I have more people attending. Or maybe this is an opportunity for me to plan some sort of VIP event component with it. Since we are seeing continued growth. If there's an event that, my annual dinner that we do, it doesn't bring in a ton of revenue, it's kind of stagnant, plateauing. Are there opportunities? It looks like I could do sponsorship. Maybe I do it 50-50, but do I want to spend a lot of time there? Maybe not. Maybe there's bigger opportunities of growth in other areas. So just some things to kind of take a look at if you're reviewing your finances. Plan giving is next, and this has a couple different sections here. So the first section up top is our realized gifts by year. So these are, if you have a plan giving program, these are going to be the gifts that physically come in your door, the revenue that physically comes in the door that year. That is what you are going to be listing at the top. The second section here is going to be the revenue that you might be getting commitments for future gifts. So these are, you're sitting down with your donors now, you're talking to them about joining your giving, your plan giving, your legacy giving society. You're sitting with them and working to plan ahead for the future, setting up beneficiary policies, anything like that. So up above, again, that is money that comes through the door. Down below, these are when you get the signed commitments of what it might be. If you're not sure whatever these categories are on the left, we do have the information of what is included in each on the right-hand side in your instructions tab. So if you look at this, this can tell you how strong is my plan giving society. Are there opportunities for growth? That there's something that really seems to be working well for my organization that I want to invest more time in and bring more education to. This kind of alludes to where there is growth or where there's opportunities for it. I will say, if you are interested in learning more about plan giving, United Way Next offers an entire really plan giving webinar series if you're interested in growing your plan giving efforts. I do see them pretty regularly come through the Global Digest in that calendar area. So if you haven't checked that out yet and want to, I haven't sit in on those trainings at all, but if you're interested in learning about that, that's a great resource for you. And then the last section here is our endowment. What we did is rather than putting your full endowment total each year, because that can really fluctuate year to year, what we did is any dollars that you are taking out of your endowment fund to put back into the community to spend, whatever it may be, that is the money that you are going to list here. So if you have a spend policy, something like that, 3%, that always goes back into community. That is what you're going to list here. And then the final tab is our other revenue streams. So we have a space for grant funding. We have kind of the catch-all. So if there was anything that was missed that is important for your revenue, you can track that here. And then there are some blank spaces for you to fill in whatever those categories are if something wasn't included. So all of these tabs track your data. And then it comes back to the revenue diversification dashboard. And so this dashboard has been created for you that auto-populates all of your revenue and data that you have already put in all those other tabs. And so there is a revenue trend section that looks at all of your revenue combined and really your diversification of revenue so you can truly see where the breakdown is. And then there is a section for each of the tabs. The workplace campaign, I know you can see over here, fundraising, plan giving. Up at the top is your giving societies, individual giving, for you to look at further breakdowns of each section of what your revenue and what your trends are showing. Under each section, you will find a little cheat sheet instructions tab that tells you what each chart is. So it's named what each chart is. It describes to you what you are reading on that chart, what type of data you're taking a look at, and then also talking about why does that matter? Why is it important to know what this information is showing us, or maybe how can we use it? So that is found under each of the charts if you're ever not sure what you are looking at. The other piece of this is most of these charts outside of the annual growth rate and the revenue concentration score can be filtered and modified. So you can either drill down on data, you can take a look at specific years or take a look at specific categories. So for instance, these are all set up that we're looking at 2025 information. Maybe you'll want to go back and look at 2024. The way to do that is you're going to double click on whatever chart you're trying to look at. And you'll see this chart filters. You'll select that. And then from there, you can select whatever year you want to look at. And that will update with your year. Or maybe down here, we want to take a look at, we don't want to look at our total revenue, so we're going to take that out. We only want to look at, let's say, we're going to take out corporate dollars too, because we want to drill down specifically in this area. And we only want to look at 2023 to 2025. So we selected our different filters, hit apply, and then we can see what the trend more specifically is showing us in this area. If you ever forget, how do I filter a chart? How do I change that? That is what is in the instructions area here, step by step, to remind you this is how you can filter your charts. So this is all created for you. It should, like I said, auto-populate once you put your information in there. Having the data is the first step. The second step, and really a huge component of this, of looking at your revenue diversification next, is taking this information and analyzing it. And there are really four key insights that I look for in data. The first is going to be trend spotting. So as you look in a year over year, as you look in your year over year comparisons, it can help you identify what's changing and why. So for instance, let's say that our employee giving has steadily declined, but sponsorship dollars have grown. Maybe we consider doubling down on sponsorship cultivation and then revisit our employee engagement strategies. Or if one of our fundraising event plateaus while another one is growing, maybe we decide whether we want to sunset or scale back an event that's less effective. So spotting the patterns really helps you allow to shift that focus with an upward momentum while addressing declines early. The second way that we can look at data is risk management. So in particular, our revenue concentration score that you see here, the RCS. The RCS evaluates how much of your total funding comes from just one or two sources of income. And what we're tracking, it's two sources. A high RCS, which is typically over 70%, is a signal that your organization may be overly reliant on one or two streams. So for my instance, it's very clear: workplace campaign, individual giving, we are heavily reliant on them. And that can be a risk factor if something were to go wrong. So knowing this, it allows us to think ahead, plan ahead, and we can start cultivating those alternative revenue streams. So a loss in one area doesn't threaten our overall stability. The other is opportunity identification. So our data can shine a light on areas of untapped potential. So maybe as we look at our individual and affinity group giving, maybe we have a strong pipeline of young professionals that are engaged in our workplace campaigns, but our Emerging Leaders Society isn't as strong. So maybe there's a signal to focus on outreach and stewardship in that direction. Or maybe revenue is flat for sponsorship income. Revenue is flat for an event, but sponsorship income is strong. Again, maybe we want to shift resources to cultivate new sponsors rather than trying to host more events. The last one is we can set smarter goals, right? So instead of just setting arbitrary fundraising goals of this is what we hope to do, which is great, we can use historic donor counts, we can use average gift size, giving trends to build attainable benchmarks. So if our Women's Giving Society has increased by 15% annually, we can probably realistically say, and rooted in evidence, that next year it's going to grow by 15% and make a goal that is attainable and likely achievable for us. It also works if we're going to reverse engineer our targets. If we want to raise $25,000 more from a giving society, okay, well, if our average gift is $1,000 for our Women's Giving Society, we're going to need 25 new members in order to hit that $25,000 goal. And then that can start to help us think, okay, where are we going to get 25 new members and really drill down into that. So it helps us give a more beneficial approach in science and in data of where can we go, what can we achieve. So you are welcome to use this document, use it to present to your board. It's great for grant proposals, build case for expansion, but it really gives you a clear visualization and insights that your data shows to help you tell a really confident evidence-based story. So this is available to you. It's on the resource page of the United Way of Pennsylvania website. If you have any trouble with this document, please feel free to reach out to me, Ashley Leary, at any time. My contact information is here. Or if you want to kind of change this to make it fit better for your United Way or are struggling, have questions, anything like that, please reach out to us and we are more than happy to help. With that, I hope you have a great rest of your day and hope this tool works well for you. So thank you so much.